Welcome to Sewing Report Live. This is the late night edition, and we are going to be talking about fast fashion, e-commerce, influencer marketing, and everything that is going on with the overseas e-commerce giants Shein and Temu. These are very popular shopping apps. They sell very low-priced goods, but they got some issues. So we're about to get started. I apologize for the late start, guys. I was having some pretty frustrating computer issues just now, but welcome. I know it's been a hot second since I did a live stream, but I'm back and I want to get your opinions too tonight on how I should proceed here on Sewing Report Live. So I really appreciate everyone being here. We are live on multiple platforms, which is exciting, including Twitch, even though they've got some new weird multi-streaming rules. I don't know if I'm gonna get kicked off. I have no idea, but welcome wherever you're watching. And a quick note to today's video sponsor, the Sewing Report Etsy shop, for all of your sewing supplies, fabric, and handmade goodie needs. Got some new stuff in the shop, including some brand new fabric marking pens that I did detail and highlight in this week's Sewing Report video about marking tools. We've got some Sew Tights products, new, fresh from the factory, and they are ready to purchase. We're also running a sale on a lot of different fabric bundles. So if you're looking to get started on some new projects, we've got some great stuff. I've also been making some skinny scarves that you can use for handbags or accessories. So we've got lots of options here at the Sewing Report Etsy shop. This channel is not monetized, guys. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs here so we can get monetized and start trying to do something over here. But I really appreciate everyone who's watching. So I know it's I kind of stopped streaming on this channel, and I had some big plans for it. And I'm gonna be real with you. I had some real analysis paralysis. So I've been just thinking about what I want this channel to be. And then right before I started, since it had been a while since I streamed, I had some, my technical stuff was just totally scuffed. So I had to reinstall some programs and do those stupid system updates. And then I had to set everything back up again with my Stream Deck here. So I do have that going. So let me know where you're watching from. I would love to get your input on some of these topics. But there's been a lot going on in the world of influencer marketing, and I think there's some stuff that I can weigh in on as a full-time influencer / content creator that I think I just want to talk about. So I know this isn't technically directly sewing related, but I know that the reason many of you sew and that you love to make your own things is because you're trying to avoid fast fashion. And a lot of the topics we're going to be talking about tonight do have to do with a lot of these fast fashion overseas manufacturers type setups. So this just happened today. So let me bring this up here. All right, so there is this company. I don't know if you've heard of it. I have not shopped here before, but I know it's very popular. And there is a company called Shein. Now this is a Chinese company. It's overseas. There's an app, and it's like Forever 21 on steroids. We thought Forever 21 was fast fashion. This company, apparently they design clothing using an algorithm. I'm not joking. They just churn out just tons and tons of pretty low quality, but very trendy clothing. It's very cheap. And you may have seen this all over the internet because you'll probably see hauls, and you'll see people doing unboxings and then doing all of these fashion photo shoots wearing Shein clothing. The stuff is it's $5, $7, literally it can't get any cheaper than that. And this company has been under fire for quite a while now for a lot of different reasons. So today, this was kind of crazy. I was doing some research for this live stream, and I saw that there is a lawsuit accusing Shein of RICO violations. So basically what it is a few designers are suing Shein in California federal court claiming they were surprised and outraged to see their products copied and sold by the Chinese fast fashion retailer. And I've linked the articles in the description box of this live stream, so if you want to go ahead and check them out. There's quite a bit out there. This one is from CBS News. And I had kind of forgotten what RICO was. I had learned about RICO in like social studies or like criminal law classes back in like high school. But RICO is the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. That's pretty serious. And this lawsuit is alleging Shein has grown rich by committing individual infringements over and over again as part of a long and continuous pattern of racketeering, which shows no sign of abating. Shein is the largest fashion retailer in the world with annual sales of almost $30 billion, more than H&M and Zara combined. So that's, yeah. And this is one example that this designer had made this Make It Fun graphic. Kind of funny because the sewing report, tag on my channel right now is Make It Fun. And then Shein took that same design and is now selling it like as a print for $3. So that's pretty crazy. So I'm curious to see where this goes, but it does, like this, I'm going to be real, this company seems sketchy to me. I have never purchased anything from Shein. I don't have the app. It's just not a company I'm that interested in supporting. Again, if you shop there, hey, you do you. Just from the start, I just got some weird vibes about it. It was founded in 2012 by Chinese entrepreneur Chris Zhu, who is valued at more than $10 billion. So that's kind of interesting, and it seems like his backstory is kind of sketchy as well. So it says, like, mysterious tech genius about whom almost nothing is known. So here, this also details what is a RICO charge, and it was designed in 1970 as a way to combat the exploitation of legal businesses by organized crime. So this federal lawsuit is accusing Shein of organized crime. Now that may be a little tricky. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not familiar with how to pursue companies that are overseas. It does seem kind of difficult because Chinese companies don't abide by the same laws that we do here in the United States. So who knows what's going to happen with that. So I saw that today and I was like, well, that's kind of crazy. And originally the reason I wanted to talk about Shein was because of the hubbub they had more recently as well over those influencer brand trips that a lot of people are calling propaganda. So I'm going to bring up another article here. Let's see. So this one is from NPR. And this article, now I'm just for copyright reasons, I'm not going to play the clips, but it looked like a bunch of influencers. Basically, Shein had been accused of having pretty questionable labor practices over at like the factories. There were some reports of possible like slave labor, like horrible working conditions. Also, let's not even get into the environmental impact. I've seen a lot of documentaries and articles about manufacturing processes overseas and how horrible it is for the environment, how much chemicals they're using in like the dyes and producing the clothing, how much waste there is. And I think one of the reasons that I'm myself try to avoid fast fashion is just because it's just creating a massive amount of waste. People buy these clothes, they don't even last 5 minutes. You can't even throw them in the washing machine because they'll get ruined. The stuff costs $5, $10. People end up just quote unquote, donating it to Goodwill. And I use that term loosely because I've also heard Goodwill throws a lot of stuff out. Plus, like if the clothing can't even stand up to normal wear and tear past a few months, it's basically garbage clothing. So this article, and there are quite a few articles, and again, they're all linked in the description box. Shein invited influencers on an all expenses paid trip. Here's why people are livid. And I saw this and I was just like, face palming. And I'll kind of explain why. All right, so let's go through this article. Shein, the Chinese fast fashion behemoth, knows its customer base, Gen Zers who buy their clothes through TikTok ads and other social media platforms. So it makes sense that in an effort to rehabilitate its public image ahead of a possible initial public offering in the US, the company, now based in Singapore, okay, so that's kind of interesting. So they've kind of like officially changed where they're located to try to get ahead of some of this stuff. Turned to a group of social media influencers. This month, Shein flew a group of young and diverse tastemakers on an all-expense paid trip to Guangzhou in southeast China to tour some of its manufacturing facilities. The goal: show those influencers followers that, contrary to ongoing reports, the company's operations are all above board. Recent reports allege that Shein's extremely cheap prices are made possible by forced labor, human rights violations, stealing other designers' work, and the peddling of clothing made with potentially hazardous materials. The plan worked. The influencers gushed about clean factories and smiling, happy workers who don't break a sweat. Quote unquote, upon interviewing the workers, a lot of them were really confused and taken aback with the child labor questions and led in the clothing questions. End quote. Influencer Destine Seduth, a creator with more than 4 million followers, said in a TikTok video, "They weren't even sweating. We were the ones sweating." Now, the Shein ambassadors are facing blowback from critics who say they are participating in a propaganda stunt designed to mislead customers. The online hate was fast and furious, with comments like these: "They showed you what you wanted to see. I tip my hat to the marketing villain that came up with this. It feels like they used you for damage control, and it's disturbing." Other commenters noted that the group's visit was limited to the company's innovation center and that the influencers were not offered a glimpse inside its warehouses or other factories. Company officials dispute the characterization. Shein is committed to transparency, and this trip reflects one way in which we are listening to feedback, providing an opportunity to show a group of influencers how Shein works through a visit to our innovation center and enabling them to share their own insights with their followers, Shein said in a statement. Whoa. So what is Shein accused of doing? A new congressional report titled "Fast Fashion and the Uyghur Genocide," published last week, details how Shein skirts strict import regulations established in the 2021 Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act by using their networks of Chinese suppliers and direct-to-consumer models. Most of the alleged abuses are linked not to the modernized factories visited by the group of influencers in Guangzhou, but to Shein's supply chain in the Xinjiang region of China, where human rights abuses against the Uyghur minority have been widely documented. The U.S. banned imports from the region in 2021. Shein has said it has no suppliers in the Xinjiang region and zero tolerance for forced labor. The congressional study states these initial and interim findings raise serious concerns about the continued presence of products made with forced labor contaminating American imports. In the 2022 British documentary Inside the Shein Machine Untold, filmmakers found exhausted employees working up to 18 hours a day, often 7 days a week. The workers were required to meet strict quotas while being paid as little as $20 a day and sometimes fined up to 2/3 of their daily wages for making mistakes. Another investigation by the Canadian Broadcasting Corp determined that some of Shein's inexpensive clothing had elevated levels of chemicals, including lead, PFAs, and phthalates, that experts found concerning. So, yeah, that's a lot to soak in. And if you're not aware, hopefully this helps kind of shine some light on this company. It's a huge company. They really grew during the pandemic. Their valuation rose from $5 billion in 2019 to $66 billion as of May. And it's just, this is just insane. So let me take you to another, I'll show you another article from Refinery 29, also about this same topic. And again, these are all linked down below in the description box. But it's pretty eye-opening stuff for sure. This should be very alarming to all of us. And yeah, and it leads me to question too, and I think this is something we could have a conversation about, is how responsible are influencers for the things they promote, the companies they feature, what they talk about. How much are influencers responsible for what they're talking about? Like, I got the feeling that a lot of these influencers were young, probably not like super savvy about a lot of like FTC disclosures, or maybe just like maybe they just didn't see all of the implications in promoting companies like this. I can say as an influencer, there are quite a few niches that brand trips are very common. The beauty niche, the tech niche, it's very common for some of these big brands to basically dish out these like all-inclusive, expenses paid trips to top influencers. They fly out to a location, they get like a kind of a fancy vacation, and they're brought there to create content. So I've seen a lot of beauty influencers do like benefit trips or other types of brands, like Tarte is another one that I think has done brand trips. And, you know, it's very appealing to the influencer, and they're brought there to create like content in like this like cool location. And it looks like that's what Shein did with this brand trip to China. Now, this is not a new thing. A lot of, and I'll be honest with you, I watch a lot of Asian dramas. I decided to stop watching the Chinese dramas just because, from my perspective, I felt like a lot of these shows were propaganda. Like, a lot of the settings were these really cool looking, sleek looking locations. Everyone was rich. You know, there's no poverty. There's nothing, nothing sad, nothing negative. And to me, it just kind of felt like I was, being misled. So I personally decided to stop watching any Chinese dramas for that reason. If you're not aware, no matter what business you're in China, the government has a hand in the business. So like, you can have your own business, but there's government involvement at some level. Even when American companies or other foreign companies go into China, if you want to play there, you got to play ball with the government. So there's just a lot of questionable things, and especially I think when you take a look at these companies like Shein and Temu, the other app that sells like really cheap stuff, and is everywhere. I think we got to ask some questions, guys. And another reason I wanted to talk about this topic is because I will share with you openly, I have gotten now dozens of emails from people claiming to be with Temu, offering me a collaboration for the sewing report. This is not a company I've ever shopped with. I've never even downloaded the app. I certainly would not at this point. But I'll find you some emails, because I've gotten some pretty sketchy emails like from the company, and I've gotten tons of them. Like, not just like one or two, I've gotten dozens of them. They come from different people, different emails, and the correspondence itself just seems really like suspect. So I've never written back or responded, but the whole thing's been pretty weird. And let me see if I can find some of these emails, because yeah, it's just like really, like, I'm telling you guys, this stuff is like sketchy AF. Like, let me see and I even got one today. Like, I literally got one today. Let me see if I can find the email. Why isn't it? Wow, my email is like not updating at all. But basically, it's like, we would like to collaborate with you. You know, we can pay you money. We'll give you like a discount code, all kinds of stuff. It's really, like, honestly, it's really strange. And I find it kind of creepy. So that's my, okay, I think some of my emails are coming up. I want to show you one of the emails because it's like really bizarre. Let me see if I can, okay, oh, here we go. All right, so I will put, all right, guys, I'm going to put it on, let me put this on camera too here. Hold on a second. Yeah, so I had to like, my stream deck got like totally scuffed today. All right, so now we're on camera too, and I can show you the email. And all of the emails kind of look like this. Okay, so here, I'll show you. Here is the email from, it's like Temu business collab. They all kind of look like this, but they'll come from like different people and different email addresses. This looks super scammy. Like, this makes me never want to download the Temu app ever. And I've heard a lot of, like, and that's the thing, I see all these influencers do, like, here's the thing. Some people must have taken up this company on the offer, because I've seen quite a few different, like, sponsored Temu videos or, like, Temu hauls. So it says like, hi, hope as well. This is Zoe from Temu Global Brand Management Team. We love your YouTube content so much. We would love to work with you and build a long relationship. Benefits we can provide: paid collaborations, channel and post promotions, exclusive invitations and offers, exclusive promotion code for you and your followers, and so much more. We have many ways to collaborate: dedicated video, integrated video, shorts, description box, and so on. Lots of YouTubers they can't even spell right, collab with us, and the views are higher than when they post for Temu. If you're interested in becoming a Temu influencer, please email us your rates and availability. Once again, we would be honored to collaborate you. Thank you for your time. And then it says about us, Temu is an online marketplace that offers the most competitively priced fashion, decor, jewelry, home, and pet supplies. Our products are on average 50% cheaper than identical products on similar shopping sites. Are they meaning like Amazon? We commit to providing customers with top quality products at ultra affordable prices, alleviating the stress of shopping and purchasing daily necessities. So that's my email from the Temu people, and that's like by far not the first one they've sent. I've been getting emails from Temu for months, and I wanted to talk about this somehow, and I think this whole kind of theme fits in perfectly just with the whole influencer marketing thing overall, content creation, and just like, this is just so, there's some strange stuff going on, guys. So this makes me very wary about anything having to do with Temu or Shein. I certainly am not going to be promoting those companies, shopping there. Again, if you love those companies, hey, you know what? You can do whatever you want. But both of these companies have really kind of like put me off just with the whole vibe. And here's another thing I want to pose to you. If something is really cheap, there's a reason why. And it's probably not good. Somebody's paying the price for you to have the $5 t-shirt or the like $8 tank top. You know what I'm saying here? And as some of these investigations into Shein have found, like, look at what's going on with the labor force there. That doesn't look good. Bad, very questionable stuff going on. And I do, so I was at a conference like a year or so ago, and one of the speakers was an American woman who, I'm not exactly sure like what the deal was, but she was living and working in China, and she was promoting, it kind of seemed like she was promoting companies to do business in China. Like the NBA is huge in China, Disney is all over China. And if you notice, there's certain things that they won't they won't talk about. You know what I'm saying here? So this woman did a speech about her experience living and working in China, and it kind of felt like propaganda. I'm gonna be honest. She was a very nice person. I found her interesting, and I thought it was, it's like if you just look at it on a surface level, you're like, oh, that's cool. But she was really, really pushing doing business in China very hard. And the funny thing is, she was wearing, now this is a very wealthy woman. She was wearing an outfit from Shein during her presentation, and she made a big deal of pointing out how awesome the company was and how all the great things they were doing. And she herself was like head to toe in Shein. And I was like, I don't know, lady. I don't know. So she was pushing it hard, and this was before all of these investigations had come out about the company. But it was very strange. Again, I respect what this lady is doing. Again, I'm not like knocking it. But her whole speech just seemed like propaganda from like the Chinese government. It was kind of weird. And the fact that she was wearing like her whole outfit from Shein, I was like, okay. So the other thing, this was another interesting article I saw. So obviously when you're doing trade with other countries, like between the US and like China, or the US and like another country, often there are tariffs to like import and export goods. Apparently, Temu and Shein have found like basically a loophole because their items are so freaking cheap. They skirt under like this $800 minimum for a certain type of import tariff. And apparently the US government, it looks like we're trying to figure out ways to put a stop to that. But this was another interesting article. This is also linked in the description box. And I mean, this whole thing is just like insane to me. So this makes me feel really good about not ever shopping with either of these companies. And here's the thing, like, these are not the only companies operating this way. I'm sure, I have no doubt that most of the stuff we order from Amazon that's made overseas is probably manufactured under similar questionable circumstances. So that's the thing. Like, no matter how much we want to get away from this stuff, I feel like at this point it's like kind of impossible. Look, I shop on Amazon. I'm sure you probably shop on Amazon. It's really difficult to not buy stuff that's made in China or made in India or made in Bangladesh or made in any of these countries where we suspect there's some bad stuff going on. So I'm not going to sit here on a soapbox and tell you not to buy anything from Amazon, not to ever buy anything made overseas, because the truth is it's going to be very, very difficult to actually do that. And I think that's kind of an unreasonable, unattainable goal. So I think the idea that we're never going to buy anything made in China is, it's a nice ideal, but it's probably not very realistic to be able to kind of live the day-to-day life without, probably most of the stuff in this room is probably made in China. I'm just being honest here. But, I don't know. And by the way, I will be taking comments and reading the chat. So if you have something to say, definitely leave a comment. And I'm going to try to get to these in a bit. Actually, let's read a couple right now. All right, I know making new dreams come true. It looks like you had to go, but thank you for tuning in. And I know we got a late start today because all of my tech was scuffed, so that was interesting. All right, Miss Maddie is here. Welcome. I have gotten so many Temu emails. All right, so it's not just me. I wonder if some are just spam. Probably, but I do believe that Temu is probably trying to hit people up for this stuff. I have no doubt they're doing that, So I think that's absolutely something that's going on. I just think these companies, they're relying, like, and that's the thing, these companies rely so heavily on influencer marketing and TikTok and like Gen Z social media that I feel like these companies are using and kind of manipulating some of these younger influencers. So that's one thing that I was like, you know, you can kind of say to these influencers, hey, you should have vetted these companies better. You know, why did you just kind of take everything at face value and not really question it? But when you think about it, these companies, I think, intentionally targeted young influencers because I think those folks are more likely not to know any better and kind of just go along with it. And that's pretty much what happened with those influencer brand trips. And I did see the TikToks from the influencers, and the whole time I was just like face palming. I was like, guys, no, like, just like, why? Like, it's China, guys, it's China. You know, I don't know. So it is what it is. All right, let's read a couple comments here. All right, we've got Brenda in the house. And also, yeah, if you are on like Twitch, or I'm also doing Rumble. All right, no messages there yet, but I am doing Twitch until I guess I get kicked off, because I guess they have like this new asinine rule that you're not allowed to multi-stream for any user, like not even just partners or affiliates. So that's kind of ridiculous, but it is what it is. All right, you've got Brenda in the house. I've also heard that the chemicals used in the fabric for Shein clothing is not regulated and can be harmful. You know, that's the thing. Like, they don't have the same safety regulations that other countries do. Yeah, I think there's even been tests where lead was found in children's toys made overseas. So, like, who the heck knows? Like, I personally would not eat food made in China. Just me. That would be kind of sketchy for me. And you know what? And the thing is, I was talking to a friend of mine. I have like an old college friend who's like, I'm doing this in my like craft room. I have a friend who's like the VP of a pharmaceutical company. I'm not kidding you. And he was telling me that because of like costs and regulations and all this red tape, a lot of companies like his are having to manufacture drugs. So a lot of our drugs are made in like China or India. So a lot of like medication, like pills, that kind of thing. You know, and again, who knows about the like quality control over there. So again, think about this. Medication made in China. Medication made in India. Like, how, you know, like, would you trust it? I don't know, guys. I don't know. But he was saying it was because of all like the regulations and stuff we have here, you know, and as we found out during the pandemic as well, a lot of our protective gear, like the masks, were made overseas. So we had some issues with that supply chain. So I think situations like that really call attention to the fact that you don't really want to rely on other countries to make some of your critical goods, like medicine, food, PPE, masks. Do you really want a lot of that stuff made overseas, or do you want to be able to control that supply? We've also seen that with computer chips. They're mostly made overseas. So there's a lot we could really look into here. And I realize this is a sewing channel. We're kind of going off. We're going off the rails on this one. So, but that's fine. All right, we've got Paul here. All right, we got a dude in the house. Another ex-TV producer here. Maybe Temu is trying to be more accessible to U.S. customers where AliExpress failed. I think that's pretty much it. They're hitting up Western American influencers with an English-speaking audience. Also, I get hit up a lot by Asian companies. I kind of wonder if it's because I'm Asian, but I speak fluent English. Who the heck knows? But I get hit up by like those Amazon sellers. I get hit up by overseas Amazon sellers multiple times a day. Like, I get so many weird, like, we sell lamps. Would you like a lamp? We sell, I get like air filter, like air purifiers, all kinds of crap. Like, it's pretty insane. All right, Miss Maddie, you have a point. I have seen some very odd influencers making Temu videos, right? People who normally thrift talk about sustainability, etc. And you wonder, like, how like, how much are they paying to make it like that lucrative? Like, it must be a pretty good amount if someone that's doing sustainability videos would be hawking Temu stuff. I don't know. I would not think that fast fashion and Temu junk would be environmentally friendly or be in the interest of promoting sustainability. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. And again, I'm also not here to like knock other influencers. Again, I think a lot of these people just don't really understand what they're really doing. Guys, I'm old. I've been around the block. I'm an ex news producer. I look into stuff here, guys. I look into stuff. I like to operate a different way here. I know that's why many of you continue to support and watch this channel and the Sewing Report, because you feel like I'm being, because you feel like I'm not bought and paid for, because you feel like I try my best to do very unbiased, very authentic reviews, and that's really important to me. So that's kind of why I want to talk a little bit about the influencer stuff too, because I think a lot of the influencer marketing and the like content creation folks have kind of gotten pulled into some of this mess, because a lot of these sketchy companies are trying to use them to promote their products. Myself included. Obviously they're reaching out to try to like hit me up, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's for me. So I want to bring up this story from a couple weeks ago just to kind of bring it home. Obviously I didn't cover this story because this had nothing to do with like sewing or anything, but the whole situation a few weeks ago with the whole OceanGate Titan submersible. If you're not familiar, there was this like company called OceanGate, and they were selling like these trips down to the Titanic shipwreck. I'm not joking. Like at the bottom of the ocean. I'm sorry, this looks scary as F. Like you kind of don't think about it. Like I've seen all of those James Cameron documentaries, which by the way, I got like totally sucked in on it, and I thought they were like really cool. Just like, I love how nerdy James Cameron is about underwater life and about like, diving down to the bottom of the ocean and stuff. You kind of don't think about how dangerous it is. And I kind of, like, it kind of never struck my, kind of like hit me how risky it is, and just how extremely dangerous it is to go like, what is it, like 2 or 3 miles down from the surface just to go see like the Titanic wreck. Look, I'm good watching like some 4K YouTube videos shot by some folks with millions and millions of dollars of like high-tech equipment so that they don't die. So this company, OceanGate, had like this very, very janky question. Again, another company doing kind of weird, sketchy things. They had like this submersible, I guess, and again, I learned, isn't it funny how we all became like sub-experts in like a week or whatever? I learned so much on like Twitter and Reddit. There's like a subreddit for OceanGate and everything. This kind of crazy looking rich dude named Stockton Rush was like obsessed with like diving and underwater stuff. So this guy formed a company called OceanGate, and they made this submersible that looked like a beer can with like some crap attached to it. The inside looked like a minivan or something, and the kicker was that it was controlled by like a $30 Logitech gaming controller. Is that something you trust enough to take you like 3 miles down to the ocean floor? I'm not gonna be the one doing that. And they were charging anywhere from $100,000 to $250,000 to get a spot that, like, the whole thing fit like 5 people total, including like the pilot. And they were selling trips down, like day trips down to see like the Titanic wreck. I don't know why you would want to pay like over $100,000 to do that, especially not in something that looks like a beer can that could like, looks like, to me it kind of looked like, you could kind of tell it was maybe not the safest thing ever. So, but people were paying all of this money, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because of some of the things I saw just as a former journalist, a former news producer, and current influencer, that I was like, there were some things that I wanted. I think I saw some things that I saw as a conflict of interest, kind of shaky from an ethical standpoint, and again just ties into the whole companies using influencers to promote something or to maybe make it appear like it's more of a mainstream thing. So the thing that this company OceanGate was doing is it seemed to me like they were kind of getting to a point where they were desperate. These trips cost an astronomical amount of money to like maintain the equipment, to even take people down. It was super expensive. And in fact, it kind of seems like doing it as like an underwater tourism thing isn't a very profitable venture to begin with, because to make, from what I saw, to make a submersible that was safe enough, you could only fit 1 to 2 people in it, and that's not going to be very profitable unless you charge them an astronomical amount of money. And a more safe submersible, I was looking at like dollar figures, and the more legit safe ones were like $10 to $40 million. And this guy, Stockton Rush, had like really kind of like jerry-rigged a lot of stuff, and it was obvious he took a bunch of shortcuts. Like he bought like expired like carbon fiber from Boeing that wasn't safe, that like had passed its shelf date. He tried to make the submersible as big as he could to fit more people, so he could like really kind of maximize the amount of tourists on board who are paying customers. But from what I understand and what I learned from watching it, I got like super nerdy and into this stuff, is that the safest type of like protection around a submersible is like a sphere, and it gets prohibitively more expensive to make a very, very large sphere that can fit like 4 people or 5 people. So that's why a lot of the more reputable and safe submersibles only fit 1 or 2 people, is because it's so apparently it's like ridiculously expensive to make like a metal sphere. I'm not like, guys, I'm not a science person. I'm terrible with physics. I am not like into that kind of stuff, but I learned a lot, and it was pretty damn fascinating. I'm just going to be honest with you. But this company, it kind of appeared from like the correspondence I was seeing and like what they were doing up until the fatal accident. It seemed like they were getting kind of desperate for paying customers. They weren't getting enough people paying for it. So they were reaching out to pretty much any media outlet or large influencer they could, and they would offer them a spot for free on one of the dive trips, so that they would promote it on like media outlets or on like a couple. There was one guy I saw who he didn't really get to go on one of the like deep sea diving things. He didn't get to like go down, but he was on one of the trips like a couple weeks before the whole thing just went totally sideways. So I want to point out 2 examples. So one of the examples, this I haven't seen anyone really call this out, but I had a major problem with this. One of the the CBS has like a Sunday morning show. It's called like CBS Sundays or something like that. And several months before like the disaster, a CBS like feature reporter had been invited to participate in one of the Ocean Gate expeditions for free. So here's how it works when a media outlet gets invited to do something like that. I have never seen a reporter get invited or being given something that costs that much money. For like, I worked in local news. I also worked at CNN, and sure, CNN reporters did get invited to stuff that they didn't have to pay for, but it was nothing even approaching like six figures. You know, they might get invited to like, you know, maybe like get to go inside Disney World or something, you know. That's something that, again, the general public doesn't get a chance to do, but getting inside Disney World for a day is like $100 or something. This CBS reporter, when you really think about it, they accepted something with a value of $250,000. That's what the retail price was for the trip at the time that they did it. So like the trips range from like I think when they first started out, they were about $100,000. And then the ticket jumped to $250,000. And the CBS reporter got to go for free. I noticed something, so I watched the piece. Now, keep in mind, this CBS reporter, he's not an investigative journalist. A lot of the time with media, like if you're working at like a TV station or a TV network, different correspondents do different things. So if one reporter does like feature happy stories, they're not typically going to do like hard-hitting like undercover exposés or anything like that. So I did see some comments on this, like the CBS, by the way, you can watch this piece on YouTube. It's like Journey Down to the Titanic or something like that. And this guy actually did go down to see the Titanic wreckage. The video got like millions and millions of views, and a lot of the comments I saw after the whole Titan sub disaster, people were like, why did this CBS reporter not ask more questions, or why wasn't he more critical? One, he's a feature reporter, so this guy is not really like, they're there to do a fluffy PR type piece. They're not there to do the undercover hard-hitting expose. The other thing I want to point out, even though there probably wasn't anything like explicitly in writing or anything like that, I'm going to be honest with you. If somebody is reporting on a company to do like a TV piece or to do like maybe an article, if that company is providing that reporter something that costs $250,000, I feel like at that point, it's impossible for that reporter to be unbiased. $250,000 is more than my house cost. If somebody walked in, like, all right, let's say I don't know how much cars cost. I'm not a car person. Let's say someone with the Bentley car company came in, or all right, here's a better example. Let's say Elon Musk, megalomaniac, billionaire dude, came into my house right now and gave me the most expensive Tesla available. Let's say this car cost $200,000. And then he asked me to do a review video on the car. Let's just say that. I'm accepting something with a value of $200,000. Even if he didn't say to me directly, you can't say anything negative about this product, or hey, you gotta, most of the time, it's not like a company is doing that. They're not like, hey, you can't say this, this, and this. I will say sometimes they do, but a lot of the times it's kind of more like implicitly implied. You know, it's more of like an implied thing. So say I accepted a $200,000 Tesla from Elon Musk directly in exchange for a video about the car. How much would you trust my opinion to give like an honest, legit review if I got a $200,000 car for free? And that's the thing, even if the company never said anything to me, let's be real here. I've got a lot of reasons not to be super critical about in this video. Let's just say that. And that's what I think the big problem for me was in this CBS news piece is it was literally a 10-minute blow smoke up your ass puff piece. The guy was even like joking, like he had to sign the waiver about like, hey, this might result in death. Like it mentioned death a bunch of places in the waiver. And he was like making a joke about it. And I was like, this is kind of, I mean, that guy's like lucky. That's reporter David Pogue. He's freaking lucky to be alive. But in my opinion, just as an ex media person, I don't think CBS News should have allowed him to do that story. I think it was unethical. Also, in my opinion, I don't think, I do not feel like the media outlet did enough in terms of disclaimers in disclosing the business arrangement with this company. Obviously, the guy got a $250,000 trip down to see the Titanic for free. I felt like CBS should have put in, if I was in charge at CBS or like the boss or like the news director there or like the man, the VP or whatever, I would not have allowed the reporter to put themselves in that situation because there's no way you can do legitimate reporting on a company that gave you a $250,000 item. There's just no way. Like, no matter how honest you say you're going to be or how unbiased you'll be, like, when you see like blogs and they're like, I got this product for free, but I promise you it's 100% my own opinion. I'm like, yeah, okay. Okay, guys. And I would even say, like, that's not even nearly to that degree because it might be like, maybe like the blogger got like a $50, kitchen item. This CBS reporter got a $250,000 trip down to see the Titanic wreck. Like, there's just no way in hell that guy's going to be able to be objective. I think CBS News should have recognized that. I don't think they should have allowed him to do that story. Like, I think it was a huge conflict of interest, and I think there's a lot of ethical issues with that in general that I wouldn't have done that. So that's why I think a lot of people were like, why didn't, he was like, and that's the thing, this CBS reporter was on the research ship for days. And, again, of course he's not going to like poke around or anything. He's getting a $250,000 trip. You know what I'm saying here? So that's one example. The other example with this particular story is a few days after the whole disaster, one of the YouTube influencers that had been previously invited on the Ocean Gate expedition uploaded a vlog about his experience. Now, this guy, he has like, I think he has several million subscribers, huge channel, and his channel fits perfectly into that niche that the Ocean Gate people would have wanted to appeal to. He does a lot of like treasure hunting videos, like scuba diving, like water stuff. So I can absolutely see why Ocean Gate would have reached out to him, and I'm sure they reached out to a bunch of other influencers. They reached out to Mr. Beast. Of course, why wouldn't you reach out to Mr. Beast? He's like the biggest YouTuber ever. So this influencer, I thought he did a pretty good job with his video. Like, he's like, hey, it's really sad what happened. He's like, I had no idea. He's like, in hindsight, he's like, I didn't think about the danger, but I should have. And the thing I want to point out about this YouTuber guy, he was young. So it's pretty obvious he looks like he's in his like early 20s. He doesn't really have like a lot of, it looks like he's been doing this for a while. I'm going to guess YouTube has like kind of always been his job. So it's not like he worked in like a business world. He doesn't know anything about legal stuff. And, you know, he doesn't, you know, he's not an ex-journalist or anything like that. So I think companies like OceanGate, they kind of know this guy's young. And that's the thing, we kind of saw it with what came out about that Stockton Rush guy. He was purposely trying to hire and surround himself with young, like less experienced, less knowledgeable people because they wouldn't question him. Like they wouldn't push back, and they didn't have the experience to know maybe like what was going wrong. So this younger YouTuber guy, again, I think it's influencers like him that can be pretty easily manipulated by like companies or people with money, or like, you know, again, people they see as like more like, respected older people, that I think it can be very easy for younger influencers to get really sucked in and taken advantage of and used and manipulated by companies like OceanGate. And that's the thing, like this guy, like he had no idea how freaking dangerous it was. You know, he didn't seem to have researched the safety of this vessel or know anything about the company or like, you know, how legit it was. He had seen some other names attached to the company and he probably thought it was fine, you know. Also, I think having that high price attached to the trip, like, oh, it's $250,000, it must be pretty legitimate, right? I think that was like part of it too, but it just goes to show that a lot of these younger influencers are kind of being used and manipulated by companies, by brands, by all sorts of folks who see them as kind of an easy target. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. If you're out there, if you're younger, if you are an influencer, it is your responsibility to vet products you're promoting, brands you're working with, companies you mention, because as we've seen with these Shein brand trip influencers, they got a lot of blowback for it. They got a lot of public criticism and some online hate because it looks like they just didn't really look into it very much. You know, and again, I think if you're younger and you just don't know, it can be really easy to get the wool pulled over your eyes. So that was sort of the purpose for this live stream. I wanted to talk about the whole influencer marketing stuff because it's pretty, this whole world, like there's a lot to navigate, and I think a lot of people just, don't know. Let's read some comments, and I do have some other stuff I want to talk about too. Okay. Paul. All right. Thank you, Paul. I also worked in radio, and on-air endorsements go through sales and require disclosure. Also, no gifts over $25. Yes, that's a good thing to point out. When you're working at like a more traditional media outlet, there is typically a policy called, and that's in your like employment agreement. So when you're working there, you have to abide by the employee policies, and typically there are policies called plugola and payola. So plugola, it's like, plug-ola, that's kind of like if you are given something, like say a local restaurant reaches out to you and they say, hey, we'd like you to, we'll invite you to the restaurant, you get a free meal for your whole family. You just have to mention us on your radio show or mention us in your newscast. That's not typically allowed unless it has to go through the management at wherever you're at, the media outlet or like the radio station. And typically we had a policy that we couldn't accept gifts over a certain dollar amount. Most of the places I worked, Paul, was about $50. I worked mostly in TV stations. I'm not sure what the policy was at CNN, but I'm sure they must have had something like that. But it's just a conflict of interest, and it just muddies the water. You know what I'm saying here? So typically, most media outlets do have policies in place that prevent employees from getting into those situations where they have a conflict of interest or an ethical situation. I think the problem when you get into social media, like what we're dealing with now, is that this is kind of new territory, and like a lot of these younger influencers or even like older influencers, they've never been in those situations and they just don't know. So they'll be like, oh yeah, I'll accept a car, you know, and mention you in a video and not disclose it. If you're not aware, here in the United States, we have the Federal Trade Commission. They do have pretty detailed guidelines for influencers. So if you'd like to check those out and you have questions and you're confused, people can file an FTC complaint against what you're doing. So you could get in trouble with the FTC for not making proper disclaimers or disclosures. I think the Kardashians have been hit with some like type of violation. So certain big influencers have gotten in trouble for not doing proper disclosures, but there is a pretty good guide that the FTC has put out just with a lot of things you should be doing if you are producing content and you're starting to do like sponsorships, brand deals, you accept free products, that sort of thing. All right, Miss Maddie says, wouldn't it be an ad at that point if the exchange is that big? Yeah, I would say it pretty much. If the reporter is getting something worth $250,000, CBS, it might have, like, I think maybe in their web copy and in the YouTube description box, I think they may have put some verbiage like the CBS reporter was invited as a guest on this trip. I don't think that cuts it. I don't think that's nearly sufficient enough. And to be frank with you, I do not think they should have done that story. Especially not when you're getting something that expensive. I think that's crazy. Okay. Example, the Shein influencers were all, okay, I think you were trying to say something else, but yeah, feel free to share the rest of your comment. I'd be happy to read it. All right, Denise G, would it have been considered a travel expense, although the tour would have fallen under the trip? Here's the thing, not really, because the CBS reporter was doing something that anyone else would have had to pay for. So that's why it's not like all travel expenses. It's not like just a brand trip where they just pay for your expenses. This reporter was directly getting an experience that cost $250,000. So that's my big issue with it. And it blows my mind that an organization like CBS News would sign off on that. That just seems like there's so many issues with that. And I'll say even CNN, I don't think would have done that. Again, at least not when I worked there. I stopped working at CNN in 2017. No TV station I have worked at would have done that. That's just too big of a dollar number for them to be able to justify it being a news. Like, it's no longer a news. That's the thing. It's no longer a news report at that point. You're doing a commercial. And that should have been I don't see any world where I can see that being appropriate for a news program. And here's the thing. The average person watching CBS Sunday News, they're going to, like, when you're watching a news program, you tend to make certain assumptions. Like, I'm sure, like, being on CBS News gave OceanGate a huge amount of credibility because people watching a news program are going to assume that news organization has vetted that company and only promotes companies that are legitimate. So that's my big issue, is that just by being on like a news program and having it not be an ad, like, again, OceanGate could have bought ads on CBS News, and I think that would have been a better way to make a clear distinction between the content and what's an ad. But I thought it was extremely irresponsible of CBS News as a respected mainstream traditional media outlet to do that. Just my opinion, but I just think that's crazy. I think that's insane. All right, Miss Maddie. Companies using easily manipulated people. The influencers at the Shein brand trip were all minorities or plus size people who normally don't get a seat at the table. And here's the thing. That's why And again, they were all pretty, here's the thing, they were all pretty young. And these are not people that probably have like the business experience or like again, these are not like investigative reporters or anything. These are like fashion influencers. So again, but I think hopefully they should, again, I can see why they did it. I can absolutely understand that. I do hope that they learned a lesson that they need to be doing some due diligence on the companies they're working with and on the products they're promoting. Also, like, maybe this is like a Gen Z thing, but I feel like a lot of younger people don't really understand all of the geopolitics around the Chinese government and how problematic it is. Like I think a few years ago, there were some influencers that went to North Korea, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I would never in a million years take an influencer trip to North Korea. One, I think there's a high probability you wouldn't be ever seen again. And two, just, I think a lot of people are unaware about certain countries and just how they operate. I think a lot of people just legitimately don't know. So yeah. Okay. Oh, what I mean is that they might feel like they're finally seen and get a seat at the table, but it's all a poison shallot. Yeah, you know what? And here's the thing. Like, you know, look, I get it. I think a lot of it's that they're younger, but I also think, like, to those people, I would ask, like, how important is your reputation? Because I imagine that couldn't have been good for their personal brand. And again, I get it. Like, if you don't get I don't get a lot of sponsorship opportunities myself. And you know what, Miss Maddie, I do want to, I wanted to kind of get into that issue a little bit more in a bit, because I was watching another content creator stream about certain issues, certain things like this. And, you know, they brought up a lot of good questions. So I'm going to get into more of that a little bit later. But it can be very appealing to take the money. It really can. Or to take an opportunity. You know, but I think a lot of people really, I think there's a lot of especially younger influencers that could stand to maybe enrich themselves and try to learn a little bit more about being responsible as an influencer and, you know, kind of how to navigate the waters. There almost needs to be like a training camp for influencers on how to responsibly work with brands, because I feel like a lot of people have gone wrong or made a misstep because they just like didn't know. But I do want to, you know, I'll talk about this a little bit later, but there is some stuff I can kind of talk about from a personal perspective that may shine some light on stuff. All right, let's read some comments here. All right, Denise, great clarification. Exactly. Like, when you're accepting something that's $250,000, that's key. To put it into context, I guarantee you that's more than that guy makes in a year. If you're accepting something that freaking, it's like if someone gave me a free $200,000 Tesla or a free house, like, that's going to affect the way that you, that's going to affect your bias. And there's no way around that, especially not for something of that, like, price. All right, we've got Sundrop Puddleton here. Any planned sewing projects or items to your Etsy shop? Thanks for the discussion and content. You know, this is something I'll talk about. I've been kind of struggling with my sewing mojo lately, and just sort of like stuff in general. I feel like I've gotten some like sort of like analysis paralysis around like my content, around like this channel with the live streams, and you know, I'm kind of trying to like figure it out. So I just wanted to get on here. This was something I kind of feel fired up to talk about. But I just feel like I kind of need to kind of dial in like what this is all about here and on the main channel. I did a poll over on the main channel asking what types of sewing projects you would like to see. So Sundrop, if you go over to the Sewing Report main channel, over on the community tab, I do have a poll. So you can vote and let me know what kind of projects you would like to see. right now, clothing and like garments are the front runner, and then small easy projects was like the second most popular. I just wanted to get a gauge on like what types of projects, oh, excuse me, you want to see featured. So I got some water, and the reason I'm doing this so late at night is because I'm not a morning person at all. So by the time I wake up, have coffee, kind of start getting into the day, it's like 4 p.m. Plus I had to like take a shower and then like kind of get ready for the stream. So by the time I had everything like set up, it was literally like after 9 o'clock. Like I kind of knew I wasn't going to be able to do anything earlier than that. But yeah, so that's why I'm more of a late night person. I stay up pretty late because I can't fall asleep. So I hope, I don't know what times everyone prefers to watch live streams. Obviously, this channel is going to be like all live stream. But let me know. So far on this channel, I've done 2 types of live streams. I've done like very long streams where I like kind of sew and chill and hang out and do like projects. And then I've also done live streams where they're topical. Like I talked about the Ditto sewing pattern projector. I talked about the new Simplicity website. We're doing this topic. And from a viewership standpoint, the topical live streams do much better, which, so I don't know. So I'm trying to decide. I think I need to kind of pick a lane here and not try to do it. That was the problem with the main channel, is that I was like trying to do everything. So I think I kind of need to pick a lane. So let me know in the comments here. Do you feel like you would be more likely to watch, again, live streams like this where there's like a specific topic and we can all kind of sound off? Or would you prefer like a sew and chill live stream where I'm doing a project and we're just sort of like hanging out and, it's just like the making process? And again, the sew and chill live streams have not done great. So I'm like, is it worth doing? Plus they're so long. At least with live streams like this, they're like a couple hours. So it's really not like it's not like the whole day. So I'm trying to figure out like what the best avenue is. And if you do like both, let me know. It seems like most people don't. And I got to go by numbers. So like no matter what people say, I have to go by my analytics and see like what people are actually doing. So because people will tell you, like viewers will say one thing, but that doesn't always match like the viewer behavior. So that's been pretty interesting as well. All right, Miss Maddie, excited to hear what you have to say. Thank you for joining in. All right, Denise, I've been catching up on some of your older videos, 6 years. Yeah, I saw your comments. Thank you. So fun and lots of great info and projects. Miss Maddie, I love your chatty live streams like this. Look, I like to chat, and this is a topic I feel pretty like fired up on. So I'm excited. Okay, so this is a suggestion, maybe a once a month weekend or weekend day or weekend workshop drop-in and a couple topic episodes per month. That's a good, so maybe like Sunday. So Sundays seem to be a pretty good day for like the sew and chill website, like live streams. But yeah, I think, just for like viewership and like the whole YouTube algorithm thing, doing topical videos does seem to do better overall. So I don't know, maybe it's just me, but let me know if you have anyone has anything to say. Let me get some water here. I really appreciate everyone tuning in, especially so late at night. This is just the time I'm usually up though and like doing stuff. Okay, so another thing I wanted to talk about was YouTube specifically. So there was kind of a thing going, like there was kind of a whole thing on like Twitter earlier this week. So they're kind of behind the scenes. There's a lot of like kind of creator talk, or like, we kind of like to keep up with like what's going on with like YouTube and everything else like that. In fact, I've kind of recently more found like some online communities just for YouTubers. I've been trying to like kind of learn and meet some people. So YouTube has had an issue for a while with people using ad blockers. So ad blockers, they're like these plugins, or you can, I think they're also like, you can get like apps if you're using like a phone or something. I don't exactly know how they work. I don't do ad blockers. But basically it's people who are tired of seeing video ads on websites and on sites like YouTube. And what these ad blockers do, it sort of like artificially manipulates the platform to kind of make it look like the viewer watched the ad or something, but they didn't. And then basically it like eliminates the ads. So you're probably like, okay, that's cool, you know, harmless. You know, I can skip the ads. Again, I know some people really like get aggravated by the YouTube ads. They personally don't really bother me. I usually, you know, I grew up in the 90s, so I'm used to watching like 4 minutes of commercials and not being able to like skip them or whatever. So normally when I'm watching YouTube or something and an ad comes on, I'll like check my phone or like do something else. You know, I'll kind of sit there, whatever. But a lot of people are using ad blockers to consume YouTube content. So here's the thing. Again, I'm not going to I don't want to lecture anybody on like what to do or how to live their life or anything like that. I'm pretty non-judgmental. I wanted to come at this to share with you just some understanding on how this is not exactly a harmless situation. So for a while now, some YouTubers have reported some very weird issues with their channels where YouTube will demonetize the whole channel and kick them out of the YouTube partner program for detecting what YouTube says is quote unquote invalid traffic. And people were like, what's up with this? Like, I don't get it. Like, so a lot of people online in these creator communities were freaking out and wondering and YouTube was very obtuse about like not even sharing with them like what happened or like what the invalid traffic was or like what's going on. But one pretty major theory behind why these channels are being hit with this invalid traffic, you know, like basically YouTube basically says you're violating our terms of service with invalid traffic. We're going to kick you out of the partner program. So that means they can't earn any more money from the ads. And they lose access to a lot of features. So there's a very big, and this kind of makes sense, theory that if too many of your viewers are using ad blockers, that is leading to YouTube detecting invalid traffic on your channel. And a lot of the channels that are being affected by the invalid traffic issue are, I'm going to be like honest, channels that you would like with younger, a more male audience. And in my opinion, those are probably the people more likely to use ad blockers, like people who watch gaming channels, people who watch tech channels. I really doubt that most of the Sewing Report audience is using ad blockers. I have not had that issue personally. And I think a lot of it is because I don't think you, like my audience, I feel like not very many of you guys are using ad blockers. So that's just my kind of anecdotal opinion. So YouTube is now starting this new thing where users, they're basically blocking people from using ad blockers on YouTube. So people using ad blockers are starting to experience going to YouTube and getting a message that says you can watch 3 videos on YouTube and after that you're cut off unless you disable your ad blocker. So a lot of viewers were kind of upset about it. Even some creators were like, that, you know, blah, 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 people should be able to use ad blockers. Here's coming at it from a creator perspective. I know it seems kind of harmless, but if for many of us YouTube creators, especially people with like a smaller channel, those people rely a lot on the YouTube AdSense money, and they're not even making that much of it. I personally can attest, I am not making that much money with YouTube AdSense. And with more and more people using ad blockers to view YouTube, that is taking away money from those creators who are working. A lot of us work very hard to put out content for free. So for all the people that are like, F the YouTubers, we don't care, they need to get a real job, content creation is not a real job, they should just blah, 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 blah. A lot of us, a lot of us have worked for a very long time and put in so much energy, so many resources to build a YouTube channel that, one, gets monetized, and two, makes enough money where it is like worthwhile to keep making YouTube videos. Look, I know a lot of you watching, you're here because you don't want to watch like stuff on cable or like stuff on, regular TV. You like supporting, independent creators who are not like working for a corporation. Look, I don't work for a corporation, I'm self-employed. But to kind of hear people say like they don't care or whatever, or like they need to get a real job, I think that's like really, I think that comes from a place of like, one, a real lack of understanding. I think most of the people saying this are people who've never tried to do content creation for a living, or some of the people saying this were, I think some like very massive YouTubers came out this week in support of ad blockers. But here's the thing with this, is that those people, like, for a lot of massive YouTubers, YouTube ad money is a drop in the bucket. It doesn't really affect them if people use ad blockers. The people using ad blockers will have the most impact on smaller channels. So channels between like 1,000 subscribers and like 250,000 subscribers. A lot of channels actually don't make that much ad money. Or they'll have like a very low ad rate, and I just think, it's easy to just be like, I'm just going to do this. I freaking hate ads, F these people, whatever. But you could be really like hurting people who make YouTube videos that you like to watch. And if this theory about too many viewers using ad blockers is causing channels to get demonetized and kicked out of the YouTube Partner Program, that's a very direct harm on a YouTube creator. So I just wanted to make everyone aware. A lot of people don't know, and I really doubt most of you watching this use ad blockers, because I don't get the vibe that you guys are like ad blocker people. But I just kind of wanted to, kind of bring awareness to this if you didn't already know. But it was there was a lot of stuff going on Twitter this week, and people were kind of like arguing back and forth. And it just, there's a lot going on, but it really I feel like it's very, I think it's very easy to look at what someone's doing and say, that's not a real job. They get paid way too much for what they do. And to look at people who make YouTube videos for a living and to just, kind of like crap on it. So, I don't know. All right, let's look at some more comments here. All right. Sundrop Puddleton, I like this type of stream. I think the sew and chill would be fine if I had the same project to work with you, though. A bonus if I could buy from the shop. I appreciate the suggestion. All right. Denise says, gotta grab the apple pie out of the oven. Oh, that sounds delicious. Catch the rest later. YouTube behind the scenes is really interesting. All right, Paul says, I'm happy to support your channel, Jen, and admire your independent spirit. Thank you. Rock on, Paul. Make some ties. Okay. All right. Like, are you talking like neckties and stuff like that? All right. Anyways, if you guys have any more comments, I will take another break and read them. All right. So here's where I want to talk more about this whole like the money. I want to talk more about the money. So I found, I kind of was talking a little bit this week with another art YouTuber. This guy, he seemed really cool. He's got a pretty massive channel. It's called ADC Art Attack. I believe that's the channel. At first when I saw the name, it seems like it says Ad Cart Attack, but it's like ADC Art Attack. So he did a stream on Twitch talking about the ad blocker issue and really getting into the details of content creation. So I was in the chat, and it was a pretty interesting discussion. Oh, excuse me. Now, look, this guy has a much bigger channel than me. I think he's definitely making more money. He's got a lot more, like, brand deals. I currently have, like, one very small sponsorship. That's it. And we've worked it out so that, like, I'm doing ad reads, so the content is separate from the ad, so people can very clearly see the distinction. And this company, by the way, So Tights, shout out to my sponsor, So Tights. This stream is not sponsored by them, but they've been really amazing to work with. Good people and very understanding about kind of thinking out of the box and not just going like this is the way it has to be done kind of people. They're like, yeah, we totally get what you do. They don't get like, they don't review my content. They don't have to approve it. In fact, they didn't even they have not even given me like any talking points. They're like, yeah, just say what you want to say. So everything that I've been, every time I do an ad read for So Tights, I actually wrote the copy myself, and it's what I truly feel about the product. So they've been really great to work with so far. But when I was in the stream on the ADC Art Attack channel, we were talking about like sponsorships and like working with companies and stuff. And I have a pretty different approach to how I work with brands and companies, because with the type of channel I do a lot of reviews. I report on companies in the industry, and I don't feel like I could be free with saying whatever I want if I agree to a lot of these like common practices within the influencer marketing space. So I will not sign a non-disparagement agreement. That's basically that means you can't say anything bad about the company. So that's the thing. Like, I talk about companies, I report on companies, I've called out some companies for policies that I didn't agree with. And if I sign a non-disparagement clause with companies, like say this channel gets bigger, that starts to limit my like editorial freedom. So in order to keep these channels what they are, I'm not going to do that. I also said to this other creator, I said, look, I also don't, I won't sign, I won't do any deal where the sponsor has to approve the content. The content has to be like completely me, all me. And if not, that's not something I want to do. So he disagreed with me, and he's like, look, when you're getting these big companies coming at you like Marvel, or like Disney or something, and they're flashing a huge check in front of your face, he's like, you'll do it. And I kind of like, look, I think different creators can operate differently. It's their business. They can do whatever they want. I also think it really depends on what kind of content you're producing. This guy like makes art, so like he's not generally like he's not doing like an editorial channel. Like it's like a very like I make stuff kind of channel. So for him to sign that's the thing. Like, so for that guy to sign a non-disparagement or agreement or a clause where the sponsor has to approve the content before it gets published, for a channel like that, it's really not that big of a deal. For a channel like mine, it would really be going against the core mission of the channel. So, it gave me something to think about. He said, if they're writing you a check for like $100,000 or something, that allows you to be able to make all of this content for your audience. And I think your audience would be able to understand that you need to pay your bills and you need to eat in order for you to make the content that they want to watch. I thought that was a good point. And that's the question I want to pose to you as well, watching, is like, if you had a favorite creator, they didn't make much money, and then a huge company wrote them a check, but exerted some control over the content, would that bother you? And I guess it really depends on what kind of content they're doing. But that, and that is interesting because, if someone came at me with like a $200,000 check, I'm going to be real with you. It would be kind of hard to be like, yeah, no, so it's like, would you kind of make some exceptions, or like maybe go against your own, your own principles in operating your business if the check was big enough, and like, that's the thing. I don't know if I would. I really thought about it. I don't know if I could do it, especially since my whole brand here is not doing that. Like, so that's the thing. Like, it might be a lot of money, but if it destroys everything you build, is it worth it? So I think that's something every influencer and content creator needs to decide for themselves. Like, what is your line in the sand? Like, what hill are you dying on? What stand are you taking? What will you do and what won't you do? And honestly, like, I don't see, like, the type of channel this guy ADC Art Attack has. I can see why, like, Marvel approached him. I don't think Marvel is going to be approaching me. Like, it just wouldn't make any sense. And here's the other thing I want to kind of touch on for myself. I don't even know if I would, that kind of sponsorship, even if Marvel came to me and said, hey, we'd like to do a sponsorship with you, no non-disparagement clause, you can say whatever you want, and we don't need approval, we'll pay you $100,000. My other thing about that is, it's not a company that I, like, would normally endorse. Like, I'm not into Marvel stuff. I don't really watch the movies. I don't own stuff. Like, I'm not like a fan, So I think it also depends too, like, does the company even make sense for what you're doing? Like, I would have a hard time promoting a company that I, like, really had no interest in, or, like, wasn't already a customer of. Now, if Joann Fabrics came at me and maybe wanted to do something, I think that would be, like, that would make a lot more sense. Or like a company, let's see here, like Brother Sewing Machines or something like that. But my hopes for this channel are, I really hope to get to at least a level where the channel is big enough where I can push back on some of those terms and hopefully get them to see that doing things the way I've been doing it would be better overall for that collaboration. Because then I could say, because that's the thing, the reason I'm so jazzed about this So Tights, partnership is that, and I'll shout it from the rooftops, this company is committed to supporting a creator without any restrictions and giving them complete freedom. Like, doesn't that make you as a consumer respect that brand more? Say, you know what? I really like that So Tights is treating content creators well, not trying to impose all these like crazy restrictions or massive amounts of control. I feel like for the brand, that would raise, I feel like that would almost like make their reputation better. I feel like that would improve reputation if you knew companies were working with influencers on the influencers' terms, paying them fairly, giving them, reasonable amount of compensation, and giving them the freedom to be who they are. I don't see how that's I feel like that's a win-win situation for everybody. So, that guy gave me a lot to think about, and I kind of interacted with him on Twitter a bit more. I was like, hey, hey, Rishi, really appreciated the stream. I just kind of wanted to clarify why I wouldn't do those things. And I think he kind of understood. I think he thought if I just had a channel where I was just making dresses all day or something, I feel like there wouldn't be as many issues with certain things about sponsorships and brand deals. But, because a lot of my content has been consumer review, I feel like I do feel like doing paid reviews is pretty dicey. Or even reviews for me, if you get the item for free, people might disagree with that. I just, I think anytime the company starts, if you're reviewing a company's products and the company is involved in the content, in my opinion, I think that kind of stops being a 100% legitimate review if the company is involved in making the content. Because if I'm making a regular old review video, the company has no, I'm not talking with the company. So I don't know. Maybe my standards are a little bit unrealistic. I don't know, but let me know what you think. Would it bother you to if I accepted 100K from Joanne and they review, and one of the terms was they needed to approve the content and sign off on it, would that bother you, especially knowing my background and knowing, what I've really been about in the past? I feel like that would bother me if I was in your shoes. So let me know what you think. But I think, there's a lot of questions that can be raised about the ethics and conflicts of interest and just transparency with influencer marketing that, I think needs can, especially a lot of the younger creators maybe need to look at. Okay. All right, Paul says, neckties made in USA. I've only made a couple neckties before. I do have a pattern though. I bought a pattern from Made Every Day, and it was pretty easy. So I did make some Christmas gifts one year of neckties. All right, I love this conversation, but I gotta go as we are past 11 p.m. We'll listen to the rest in the morning. Okay. Thank you, Miss Maddie. All right, making new dreams come true. It would bother me. Yeah, that's the thing. So that's why I don't think I could, I just don't think I could do that, especially since I've been so public about my parameters for working with companies. I think if I went back on that and made an exception, I think I would look like a hypocrite. So that's why it's a little challenging. That's why it makes monetization for my channels a little trickier because, I've kind of upheld myself to a standard that is a little bit different, I think those more typical influencer marketing clauses, I don't think it's as big of a deal for other types of channels. It's not really as much of a problem, but I think for me, I think it is. So yes, you would. Yeah, that's the thing. I think that would kind of destroy everything I've built. So I don't know. I don't see myself doing that. I also don't think I would do a sponsorship with a company that that was kind of came out of the woodwork. That was random. I've never talked about before. I don't know. It just wouldn't make sense for the channel, and I think it would be very disingenuous. Am I leaving money on the table? Absolutely, guys. That's why and that's the thing. So the reason I wanted to go into that is because of the way my channel is set up and my own personal standards and ethics, I rely more on the YouTube ad money than other people do. Obviously, that's not an ideal situation, but it is what it is. So I just wanted to kind of talk about that. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions, let me know. I know this has been kind of like a heavier, we've been touching on some heavier topics, but I just think this is something that a lot more people could talk. Okay, oh, and we got a, okay, somebody left a very weird chat on Rumble, but it has nothing to do with this live stream. I think I just got like spam botted or something. I don't know. But let's see. Do we have any viewers on Twitch? Yeah. And I don't even know, like, if technically I'm like breaking Twitch's rules right now because like they're like, what was I gonna say? Because you're not, so Twitch has some ridiculous new rule that no user on Twitch is allowed to stream on other platforms while they're, I'm like, I'm not even I'm not making any money on Twitch. I'm not a partner or an affiliate. So like, I don't know, like whatever. So I don't know, maybe they'll like kick me off. I literally have no idea. So who knows? Sorry. My nose is like really stuffed up right now. All right, so I think we're probably not gonna stay on too much longer, but if you have a comment, get it in right now. All right, I think I'm the only viewer on Twitch. We do have 9 viewers on Rumble, so shout out to the Rumble peeps. Guys, I'm diversifying everywhere I can. I've made like $2 on Rumble, so there's that. Oh wow, we do have like 1. Okay. Okay, I apologize. All right, we've got 1 Twitch person. Oh my God, you seem like a huge streamer. How are you so underrated? Hey, I appreciate that. I got like 5 people watching, so I don't know how big of a deal I am, but thank you for that. And I also want to give another shout out to, again, this channel, guys. I need 1,000 subscribers to get monetized. So if you're here, you're not already subscribed, I would really appreciate it. And let me know if you have feedback for what I should do on this channel. Again, I know I kind of had like a period where I didn't stream. I just, like, it was really weird. Like, I got like this, like, it was literally like paralysis, like analysis paralysis. I was like kind of frozen with like fear or something about like this channel. I don't even know why. It was really strange. But like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I psych myself out about doing stuff. And it's like really kind of unfortunate. You know what I mean? So, all right. I think my screen is frozen or something. I don't know. Oh boy. All right, well, my computer screen is frozen, so I can't switch, I cannot switch streams. I hope I'm still live. I don't even know. Okay, here we go. I'm not frozen anymore. Thank you for watching on Twitch if you're watching on Twitch. Okay. Okay, well, I appreciate that. Just subscribe to your YouTube channel. They can't wait to watch you grow into a huge streamer. I don't know if it'll be huge. I really appreciate that. I like have a lot of like equipment. All right, so we do have a multicam setup though. So I got that rocking. Hey, I've got like Stream Deck Mobile and stuff. All right, so we've got 3 cameras. So I've got camera 2, which I didn't really get to bust out much. There really wasn't like a reason for the most part. And then I've got camera 3. So we've got like this, like kind of, you know, wider, kind of more shot with like the camera and stuff. I didn't really use that. Again, this was more of like a talkie stream, so, but I do use multiple cameras. I've got a pretty beefy computer setup, so hopefully that helps make the streams like okay. I gotta figure out, I want to do like some soundboard stuff. I've seen some live streams and they got some like kick-ass sound stuff. They got like the air horns and like the parties, you know, sound effects. I don't know how to do that yet. I'm still learning Stream Deck, but I'd like to make these streams like more fun. And maybe do more of this. But guys, I gotta get this channel monetized. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers. If you're here, you liked what you saw, you enjoyed my crazy rants, and you just want to come hang out with some random chick in Florida, you're welcome here. I need 1,000 subs. I'm actually kind of getting close to the watch time you need. So I need 1,000 subs and then 4,000 watch time hours. I will say with the live channel, it's actually a lot easier because watch time. People just watch live streams longer, so that's cool. So if we can get the monetization going, I will definitely be streaming like hardcore. The thing that makes it hard is like, that's the thing, when you're doing content creation stuff, you're doing a lot of work with no return on investment for quite some time. So right now I'm like investing in this live channel, even though it's not really making any money. But if I can get monetized, it makes a lot more financial sense to stream a lot. So I would definitely love to stream a lot more. Again, I know I dropped off, so I apologize for that. It's been pretty crazy. Okay, I was wondering why I wasn't notified when you posted. Now I know you weren't posting. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it was just like, it was me. All right, wow, this is all so professional. Did you set this all up by yourself? It seems so difficult. Some of this stuff, my husband helped me put up the IKEA, like, pegboard stuff. And then these are like Walmart, I'm not kidding you, Walmart shelves. So I set this up, and then my husband made this table. This is like a craft table. So I'll show you. So we will do like overhead shots. Sometimes we do like making streams. But yeah, I still don't really understand Twitch. And I think this whole rule about multi-streaming is really dumb. So I almost didn't stream on Twitch today, but I was like, you know, F it, whatever, I'll do it. And then we've got picture-in-picture. So I've got technically 4 camera angles. So this is like if I'm, you know, demonstrating something on the work surface, but I still want to, like, you know, have like a face shown. So this computer took a while to set up, and it did take quite a while to like get everything situated and experiment. And then you also have to like, so that's the thing, there's so much work into this. Like, you have to like test everything out a lot to like, I should have gotten over here a lot sooner because I had some issues with Stream Deck and everything. But like, you have to test everything out a lot before you like kind of know it's reliable and stuff. So I've got 3 cameras here. I could technically set up a 4th. I may, if it like there's, you know, if it makes sense. I haven't really needed it yet. So, but thank you. Say less. Downloading Rumble right now. Okay. Well, thank you. But yeah, like Twitch, I think Twitch is really like saying like F you to all the streamers. It's really stupid. Definitely don't support that. I think they're making a lot of mistakes on a corporate level. That's just me. But thank you for watching on Twitch. I really appreciate it. But yeah, watch wherever you, that's what I'm trying to be. Should I stream on Twitter? Now I guess Twitter is paying you to tweet and stuff. So I'm like, I feel like I need to, it's weird. You feel like you kind of need to be everywhere. And it's like, it's a little bit like overwhelming. So I really appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. And again, this channel is not monetized yet. So we need 1,000 subscribers. And 4,000, I need, I'm getting fairly close to the watch hour. So if I can get 1,000 subscribers, I think at that point I'll be I think then we can get monetized. I don't think I'll have a problem getting into the partner program because this is all like original. Again, I know a lot of channels that have issues do like compilation videos or like a lot of like stock footage. This is all, you know, original stuff. So today's live stream sponsor though is my own Etsy shop because hey, you got to do what you got to do. I got to pay the bills over here. I will say last month on YouTube, the ad revenue was not great. So thank you YouTube for that. I sell fabric. We have a lot of fabric bundles on sale now. I've got a lot of holiday fabric. So if you are working on Christmas stuff, maybe we'll do some Christmas stuff this month just to be weird. I'm weird here, so there's that. We sell supplies. I've started to sell some of the stuff I make on a very, very small scale. That's not going too hot so far, so I'm not sure. Hey, I keep it real here. Like, I'll be 100% with you all the time. All right, so we got lots of sewing supplies. Yeah, I want to make some more stuff with the Christmas fabric. It is really cute. I got to figure out some projects. Let me know if you want to see certain projects or certain topics covered. I might do some like kind of sewing community type topics. Just stuff like kind of stuff we're all thinking about, but maybe we want to chat about. So I greatly appreciate everyone tuning in for a late night stream. And I will, I'll be back. I got to figure out like what days are best. So yeah, maybe we'll do topical stuff and then we'll mix in some sew and chill on the weekends. But yeah, like I think weeknights tend to work good for like covering different topics, or like I also want to cover like stuff that's like going on, like sewing, crafting related news, stuff like this. So lots of stuff. I really appreciate everyone. Yeah, and you, Pew, you. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but I really appreciate you tuning in on Twitch. Yeah, hey, if you watch my old stuff, man, I'm pretty. Yeah, I keep it real. I don't, I'm done with this like BS from like companies trying to jerk you around and stuff. And I hope this was, and I do hope my whole reason for doing this stream was to try to raise awareness about some of these things going on with influencer marketing. There's a lot of sketchy stuff, lots of sketchy companies, and it's like pretty crazy shit. So, all right. Oh, Pew. Okay. Very cool. Well, I really appreciate you tuning in. All right, guys, this is going to sound weird. I have to, we got some HOA violations in my neighborhood, so I got to send an update email. And then I need to probably take care of my rabbit, give her some new water and let her out for a little bit. So I am streaming. So I'm streaming like everywhere. In fact, guys, if Twitter starts like really shelling out some money, it seems like, so Twitter today rolled out like also Rumble though I've made like literally under $2, so I'm not really sure how, like how, worthwhile that is, but I'm there. I'm showing up everywhere I can, because the thing is, it's kind of risky to put all of your eggs in one basket, so I'm trying to spread them out. I am on Instagram. I'm on Twitch. Who knows for long? Maybe they'll kick me off. I don't know. But it's very, this whole thing is very overwhelming. But yeah, like on Twitter today, they just announced that they're going to be paying people to like tweet and stuff, which is really weird. But you have to have like, I think you have to have like 10,000 followers, which is a lot. And I don't know. So you have to have like a very big following, and you've got to have like 5 million impressions a month, which is also a lot. So I'm not really sure I'm not really sure how realistic that is. Also, I don't really know if people would watch this stuff on Twitter. I feel like that's not, really what people are looking for over on Twitter. I'm definitely not going to be streaming live on Instagram. No to that. But guys, I hope everyone enjoyed this show. Let me know what you think down below in the comments if you're watching on the replay. I'm Jen with the Sewing Report. This is live, the After Dark edition, and I'll see you again in the next one. And remember, whatever you're doing, make it fun.